Hi everyone, this is John Everest and I'm on to, I think, my fourth tutorial on the three-phase daylight calculation method using Honeybee Plus. In the previous tutorial I was simply just talking you, whilst the calculation was running, I was showing you the file structure and just talking you through the batch file, just so I just wanted you to have a vague understanding of what's happening. It's a very This is how I learnt Radiance a few years ago. Is it was back on the Honeybee Plus didn't exist, but it's back on the Honeybee Legacy, and I was reading through these files, and that's what's happening, and that's how I got up to speed with Radiance. Um, but just before I was showing you when you sort of when you start it up, it makes you this file, and it's a neat way to sort of store the see the calc's finished now, so it's all been populated. And here's the scene. So here's our opaque materials, and here's the glazing for the default calc. Remember this two phase I keep wondering about, and then the window groups are the ones that actually make a difference. Yeah, so remember I said how it literally calculates every single window in isolation, every window group in isolation. Yeah, so when it's calculating the south window, it makes a black version, a jet black surface version of the skylight, and yeah, black polygon skylight. So over here, what is black? Black is literally a zero reflectance material. You know, it's like a black, literally like a black hole. And so it turns the skylight into that. The default is, there you go. Do you remember I said how it's the different states? So remember I said in the by scattering direction function material. um, I'll never learn how to remember that. So it's saying here's one for the clear, and then if I go down to the next one, is it glow? Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, that is, that is part of the three phase, and then the skylight is, that's for the clear. Skylight default skylight black. Oh no, because I did it. Sorry, it wasn't the skylight. I had two sort of states, didn't I? I had, look, there's the default one. Yeah. So that's there's the location of the reference file to define the light distribution, and then look here. This is the diffuse one. So the geometry is identical. It's just that we have this different description here of how this geometry will interact with light. Anyway, so back here, and I was saying that this is the batch file, right? And let me just put it here. And I was just sort of, have I still got the original version? Because I separated that, didn't I? Yeah, there you go. Yes, there you go. And yeah, so what I was just showing you here is so batch file is a set of instructions telling the computer what to do, and here it's making the sky matrix. It's making the sky dome and saying, you know, the quantities of light at different times of the day over the year. Then it's doing the two phase the scene calculation, and then it's doing the south window calculation in isolation. Remember that it's not including any lights included in the these are the two little skinny side lights in the default calc. It's these two skinny lights here. These are not included when these are not when it does these calcs for the two little skinny side lights. Was it? No, it's this one here. When it does the count for the two skinny side lights, it is not including the south. It is not excluding the south glazing or the skylights. And in turn, when it does the south window, it is not including these lights. And when it does the skylight, it is not including any of the other side lights. It does them all in isolation, so we can inspect that data in isolation, and we can just add it all together to see what the accumulative effect is. And just note as well, I'm going off topic, but you might just find this interesting. Is these batch files, you don't need if you want to learn Radiance, you don't need once this is written, you don't need Honeybee to trigger them. You can literally Actually, I don't want to mess up all my. Let me just put pause in there. So if you just write in pause, and this is if it's crashing or you want to see, do you know how when on before the command line window it just flew through and and sometimes if it crashes you don't know why it crashed. If you put pause at the end, it will stop the window from closing until you give it permission. Yeah, I'm putting pause here because I don't want it to go through all this and just wipe out the previous calcs, but I just wanted to show you. Right, yeah, I just wanted to show you that, so if I click on commands now, yep, it's paused because I put pause there. None of this, oh, I put pause there, yeah, yeah. See how none of this, no, let me show you this as well, look. I disagree with putting echo off because for me, I'd want to see it all happening. That echo off stops all this from being shown, but if you literally want to see the calculation walking through, yep, it's all there now, yeah. And then I wrote pause and it stopped. If I pressed any key, it would start walking through there and wipe out all the other calcs I've done. So I'm terminating that. I am so off topic. Right. What I've so I've told you about the batch file and that, and wow, I'm probably already halfway through the tutorial recapping on the last tutorial, aren't I? No, I didn't even start my stopwatch. Right. Okay, so over here, what comes out the other side? And again, I find this a little bit confusing. It's not completely clear, but well, I mean, you just have to. I think the legend parameter. So they're saying like this is a temp thing. Well, that's fine. But all it was ever going to do is just show you like what is the lowest point of the calc and what is the highest point of the calc. So we could just sort of say, well, actually, I just want 0 there for my lowest, and I want 3,000. The reason we're using these figures are because convention is to say, well, anything higher than 3,000 is not useful daylight. It is way too bright, and people will just put the blinds down, and you will have no daylight benefits. So, see number segments. It's decided 12 is a good figure, and custom colors is So see these tuplets down here. So tuplets, tuples down here. Yeah, these are just describing RGB colors, right? So I guess you just have to leave that in until the proper thing's fixed. I can get my head around that, and then when it comes to this, whoa, when it's off, right? How do I go through this? So out the other side of here, you get reports, which kind of like just tells you what it's all done. Well, that's kind of useful, isn't it? So it's saying like, well, it calculated and it loaded back in the yeah, I don't know, the default stuff. Yeah, all those different calcs. It calced them and it's loaded them back in. Well, that's reassuring to know. Okay. Then the legend parameters, what we just talked about. Yeah, so it's going to help us out and sort of tell us, well, when you present your results, we've done all the work. You don't have to manually put all that stuff in. Well, that's very helpful. Then outputs, and like outputs is like that's all the calculation results. But you can't just sort of say, well, yeah, give me the outputs, because that's all you're going to get. It's the analysis grid. So it is pointing behind the scenes. It is pointing Honeybee to another file that's doing more stuff. So we need to sort of I don't know, decompress that data. Right. So what you need to do is plug it into. It actually says output, but just imagine that says analysis grid. Yeah, because you always plug it into the analysis grid. Okay, so from here it's been plugged into the analysis grid, but then this bit here, he just wants to give us like what is the light doing on a specific date and time of the year. Yeah, and that's what this tells us here, hour of year, as in there are 8,760 hours in the year, right? So, and basically you can put in these here. So that is 9th of the 1st of September at 11 o'clock, right? And it will give you, well, if we're counting that in hours, it's 5,843. That plugs in. If you take that out, it will literally give you, I think it will give you midnight on January the 1st. It will be 0. So you don't want to do that. And once you've done that, right, and I go values, there's my values. Yeah, that is the See that 23, 0 to 23, so there are 24 points. And if I go back over to my original calculation points, 24 points. So it is a point for every single calculation points. And I guess to labour a point on the points. If I go text tag, no, text tag 3D there, right, location, if I get those points and then I plug those values in here, yeah, kaboom, right, I center that off, middle, center, and it's probably 0.1 usually fixes everything. Wow, that's small. Alright, except it doesn't fix everything today. Oh, because I made the grid points massive, didn't I? Come on. Okay, that'll do. But anyway, so basically those are the points, and so if I now move this and I say, okay, well that's what it was doing at 11 o'clock. Let's see what's it doing at 12 o'clock. Let's see what it's doing at 1 o'clock. Let's see what it's doing in June or wherever it arrives. August, June, bang on. Yeah. So we can get those point values. That is the total values. And so note, I did not. I'm going to come on this. I'm going to. No, actually, I'll keep going. Oh no, actually, because I've been going 10 minutes. See that blind state there? This is how we define. How do we want to make up these results? Blind state. Think of blind state actually means which of the window groups do we want to include in our calculation? We have 3 to choose from. We have the skylight, the south light, and the 2 side lights, right? Which ones of those do we want to include? If we leave that blank, I think it says it here as well. If F left empty, the first state of each window group will be used. That's as good as saying leave that blank and you will get the combined contributions of all the light for a point in time calc. I'm going to cut it here, and then on the next one I'm going to show you how we can actually look at show me only what the skylight is doing, show me only what the south window is doing. Yeah, because it's a nice way to analyze it. All right, I'll see you on the next one.